All right, so this is ninth grade, the F class, and we've been ahead of everyone, so we're ahead of most of the classes, and so we are in Act 3, Scene 2, and Gowan and Fluellen are having a conversation, and there seems to be this coalition that Henry has forged between Wales and England and Scotland and Ireland. The people don't naturally like each other, and so McMorris is Irish and Fluellen is Welsh, and McMorris is not going to like the fact that Fluellen is criticizing him, and McMorris takes it personal. Now, he didn't take it personally, he takes it as an Irishman, like, you don't like Irishmen, that's why you're criticizing me. Fluellen says that's not the case, but you see that bringing these different national, and how different really are they? You know, they're practically the same group of people, but they still can't get along. So it just shows you human nature. Now, what is this business about mines? Do you have any idea? I thought this was a war. What do they do? Mining stuff? Yeah.
Okay, no, I think this is too above. I was gonna say, like, you know, landmines where it's like they blow up.
It's
when
the
you
same
like
principle. When it says a land mine, the mine is related to what they're getting at here. Think about it this way: there's a wall. I can think of at least 3 ways to get on the other side of the wall. What would those 3 ways be, Catherine?
Over, under,
Okay,
and
over, under,
and
oh,
and
that's
around.
4. That's only 3 though. Over,
Around.
under, and around.
And
Through it.
Through. So how do you
Wait,
get?
what's that song? We're going on the bear hunt.
We're going on the trail and our
How do you get through a wall? We already talked about it. How do you breach it? Okay, what? Right, you can put a hole in it from, you know, you can put a hole in it from cannon, or, what did you say? You said over, under, did you say? Okay, so you can go under. In other words, you could go dig a tunnel, right? But that's not what they typically do, and it's not like they put 2 or 3 men and they go through and they come out the other side. That's not why they dig the tunnel. Why do they dig the tunnel?
To put
Supplies.
To collapse it.
Oh.
That you collapse it because there's this weight now has nothing upon which to rest. But that's the old way of doing it. In the Middle Ages, they now have gunpowder, and so and what they're going to be doing with it is digging the tunnel under it and doing what with that gunpowder? Blowing it up. So McGregor is a modern guy. He wants to use the gunpowder. I think it's Fluellen. That was McGregor, not McGregor, but yeah, McMorris. Fluellen is the more traditional guy. He wants to collapse it. All right. So that's what they're talking about, mines, and then you get this friction between the Irish and the Welsh. Oh, by the way, Henry is Welsh. So he's the one who's trying to forge this thing. All right, so here come McMorris and Jamie. Who's Jamie?
Who is Jamie?
Nobody.
I can be Jamie.
All right, thank you. Gower?
Okay,
I'll be Jamie.
here he comes. Here he comes, and the Scots captain, Captain Jamie with him.
Captain Jamie is a marvelous, valorous gentleman, that is certain, and of great expedition and knowledge in the
Ancient, which means
Ancient.
ancient, but he says ancient.
ancient wars, upon my particular knowledge of his direction. By Chelsea he will maintain his argument as well as any military man in the world in the disciplines of the pristine wars of the Romans.
Notice that Fluellen has trouble speaking. Sometimes he doesn't use the D. He sometimes uses the TH. Yeah, or he's just Welsh, and he can't speak, English like the English. He likes Jamie. Jamie's Scottish, but he doesn't like McMorris, who's Irish. All right, Jamie.
Okay. I say good day, Captain Fluellen.
God to your worship, good Captain James.
Oh,
Yeah.
how now, Captain McMorris? Have you quit the mine? Had the pioneer given or?
Okay, the pioneers are the people that they were the engineers. They're the guys that engineered the tunnels, set the charges, whatever was done. Those are the guys who build the pontoon bridges in modern warfare. and that kind of thing. So that's what pioneers are in this context. McMorris.
I Krish. La Tilston. The work is over, or give over. The trumpet sound of retreat. By my hand I spared my father's soul. The work is done. It is give over. I would have blown up the town, so Krish saved me in that hour. Oh, Tish, ill done. Tish, ill done. By my hand, Tish, ill done.
They retreated, I'm sorry, they retreated, he didn't get time to blow it. Go ahead.
Captain McMorris, I
Oh.
beseech you now, will you vouchsafe me, look you, a few disputations with you as partly touching or concerning the disciplines of the war, the Roman wars. In the way of argument, look you, and friendly communication, partly to satisfy my opinion, and partly for the satisfaction, look you, of my mind, as touching the direction of the military discipline, that is the point.
It shall be very good, good faith, good captain's belt. And I shall put you with me, and I may pick occasion, then I shall quit. Then I shall marry. Yeah, but,
It is no time to discourse. So Krish saved me. The day is hot, and the weather, and the wars, and the king, and the dukes. It is no time to discourse. The town is besieged, and the trumpet calls to the breach. And we talk and be Krish. Do nothing. 'Tis shame for us all. So God save me. 'Tis shame to stand still. It is shame and by my hand, and there is throats to be cut, and work to be done, and there is nothing to done, or nothing done. So Christ save me. Laugh.
by the mist, ere these eyes of mine take themselves to slumber, I'll dig good service, or I'll lig in the ground for it, or go to death, and I'll pay it as valorously as I may. That shall I surely do. That is the breath of and the law. Mary, I want full fame. Heard some question to me tway.
Captain McMorris, I think, look you, under your correction, there is not many of your nation.
Okay, that's what makes him mad. He identifies him there when he says, there are not many Irishmen, basically, McMorris.
Of my nation? What is my nation? Is a villain and a bastard and a knave and a rascal. What is my nation? Who talks of my nation?
Sorry, hold on, I'm trying to write this. Look you, if you take the matter otherwise, then is meant, Captain McMorris, peradventure I shall think you do not use me with the affability as in discretion. You ought to use me, look you, being as good a man as yourself, both in the disciplines of war and in the derivation of my birth and in other particularities.
I did not know you so good as a man as myself. So Krish save me. I will cut off your head.
Gentlemen, both, you will mistake each other.
Ah, that's a foul form.
The town sounds a parley.
What's a parley?
A meeting, a gathering.
It's me. Who else?
Captain McMorris, when there's more better opportunity to be required, look you, I will be so bold as to tell you, I know the disciplines of war, and there is an end.
All right, so remember Fluellen on a couple of things. One is that he's a stickler for the way it used to be. He calls them the disciplines of war. And so he makes a big deal out of that. Turn back to page 94, just one page back. There's a sketch of how artillery would try to batter these walls down. They would try to create breaches in the walls. So they have to have gunpowder for the cannon to work. They just haven't apparently created exploding shells yet, and they haven't mastered the pistol, the gun, the rifle, or the musket. All right, so scene 3. Any questions here we need to look at? All right. All right, 32. What is your reaction to Henry V's pep talk of his men in scene 1? That's your opinion, but remember he.
32. Oh, sorry.
Oh, we did 32.
Yeah, 32. What is your reaction? I think it's once more into the breach. I think it's pretty stirring personally, particularly at the end when he says, God for Harry, England, and St. George. That's your opinion, however. Number 33. Why do you think Shakespeare made the speech of Llewellyn, Jamie, and McMorris so rough and rude?
Probably a bias towards Englishmen, because I know that there's still hard feelings towards those two countries, so maybe it's that or like trying to imitate the accent.
Both. I think you're right, but I don't know if Shakespeare had I think he's trying to show that there is bias.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to create this tension. Henry's not gonna, because Henry he likes, he's trying to elevate Henry. So Henry is not the problem, it's just these different nationalities.
And it's also like I mean, I guess nationalities, but I mean also like, isn't it like the classes even?
Yeah.
Like the class system
Yeah, and
that they
that's,
have?
that's very good, a reminder that he's trying to distinguish the commoners and the way they talk from the nobles and the way.
It could also just be trying to imitate like the accents, because it often
And that too.
is ish.
Right.
And that's kind of what the.
Yeah, I think most people, most Americans hear Irish and Scottish accent pretty different. Now, Welsh people, I mean, they're right there in the same, right there with England. I don't know if they is distinguishable anymore. All right. All right, so number 34, why might Shakespeare have included the discordant conversation between Llewellyn, Jamie, and McMorris? We've already expressed that, but explain it.
Well, is it to like set up that there is still like kind of tension between the countries even
Yeah.
though they're allied together?
Right. I was listening, as I know this off the subject slightly, but I was listening to a sermon about the Tower of Babel and how, we've talked about this, it's really God who created the nations. He didn't want the people of Babel to be one because he knew what evil human beings would create if they were all one. So he separates them through the different languages, and he wants them to come together as one, but as through Christ, not through some dictator like Nimrod. That was the sermon, we talked about Nimrod, the sermon was about him. Okay, so I think we're at a good point. We can start scene 3. So Henry, who's our Henry again? All right. Henry, you will appreciate the fact that you have a lot to say in this book as we go on, because you have more and more these long speeches, but you may begin.
Am I governor or someone else?
You're the governor, and then you'll be Catherine later. It's
Oh,
a
can I
this
be
is a short-
Alice?
Sure. This is a short scene.
Wee wee.
Hi, Henry.
Algarve resolves the governor of the town. This is the latest quarrel we will event. Therefore, to our best mercy, give yourselves, or, like the men proud of destruction, defy us to our words.
Okay,
Or,
you should point out that the audience are the men of Harfleur, including the mayor. They call him a mayor, or governor, actually, one of the two. But he's like he's the head guy in the town. But he's talking to the people, he's trying to persuade them to give up. So you may continue.
For as I am a soldier, a name that in my thoughts becomes me best. If I begin the battery once again, I will not leave the half-achieved Harfleur, till in her ashes she lie buried. The gates of mercy shall be all shut up, and the flesh soldier rough and hard of heart, in liberty of bloody hands shall range, with conscience wide as hell, mowing like grass your fresh fair virgins and your flowing infants. What is it then to me an impious war, arrayed in flames like this, like to the prince of fiends, do with his smirched complexion all fail feats, and linked to waste and desolation? What is it to me when you yourselves are called, if your pure maidens fall into the hand of hot and forcing violation? What reign can hold licentious
Yes.
wickedness, when down the hill he holds his fierce carrier? We may as bootless spin our vain command upon the enraged soldiers in the spoil as sin presets to the Leviathan to come ashore. Therefore, you men of Harfleur, take pity of your town and of your people, whilst yet my soldiers are in my command. Whilst yet the cool and temperate wind of grace overblows the filthy and contagious clouds of murderous boiled villainy. If not, why, in a moment, look to see the blind and bloody soldier with foul hands desire the locks of your still shrieking daughters? Your fathers taken by the silver beards, and their most reverend heads dashed to the walls. Your naked infants spitted upon pikes, while the mad mothers with their howls confused do break the clouds, as did the wives of Jewry, at Herod's bloody haunting slaughter. What say you? Will you yield and this avoid or guilty in defense? Be thus destroyed.
All right, so what is, let's see, probably question number 35. He threatens what? What is he threatening to Harfleur?
If they don't give up.
If they don't give up what? What is he threatening them with? Basically, but he's also saying that I cannot restrain my men, whether that's true or not. I want you to write this word down. I don't think it's, I don't think it's too much to call it that. You know what an atrocity is?
No, sir.
Yes.
What is it?
Like something really, really bad.
Well, it's definitely,
I'd say in this case, it's more of like, just the behavior is just, there's really no words to describe it other than atrocious, which is, I hate using the same word in definition, but it's just,
well, let me give us some other words. An extremely wicked or cruel act, typically one involving physical violence or injury. Highly unpleasant or distasteful, but it's an extremely wicked or cruel act. So atrocities is what he's threatening. He said, I won't be able to restrain my men. They will come in there, and because you resisted and they lost their own men, you know, their buddies, they're going to take it out on the babies, on the women, on the old people. He just mentions the whole crew. Hoping that the threat will work, we'll find out. But I want you to know that word, atrocity, that's in the plural. You get that? Extremely wicked or cruel act. So, who's the governor?
Me.
All right. Who?
Me.
Yes.
Go?
Yeah.
Oh. Our expectation hath this day an end. The dolphin, whom on successors we entreated, returns us that his powers are yet not ready to raise so great a sea. Therefore, great King, we yield our town and lives to thy soft mercy. Enter our gates, dispose of us and ours, for we are no longer defensible.
We are no longer defensible, right? That what you said?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so basically what is the result of his threat?
it works.
Yeah, it works. He said, okay, we give up. And why is he gonna give up? It's not just the threat, it's what else? Nobody's coming to help us. The Dauphin is not ready. That's the Dauphin's fault, because his daddy told him, you better get the cities ready, and he didn't. That tells you something about the Dauphin, that he's a lot of talk, maybe, little action. What's that? Maybe, we'll find out, but that's what I think we're suggesting. So Henry, Celeste, you all right?
She's dead.
I hope not. I haven't lost one yet.
Hopefully you won't.
All right.
She's
So
alive.
Henry,
Open your gates. Come, uncle at Exeter, go you and enter Harfleur. There remain and fortify it strongly against the French. Use mercy to them all for us, dear uncle. The winter coming on and sickness growing upon our soldiers. We will retire to
Calais.
Calais. Tonight in Harfleur will we be your guests. Tomorrow we will march. For the march are we addressed.
All right, so he orders Exeter, it must be in charge of the army there, to make sure that they show mercy and not do any of the things that he threatened. And notice what, he gives you some idea about the army that he's leading. He says, winter's coming on and sickness is growing. We will retire to Calais. Remember, Calais is that city directly opposite, I guess, but the closest city to Dover in England. And so Harfleur must be close by there. But it tells you something about the army. Not only is he undermanned, he doesn't have as many as the French, but they're sick. And there are other things that are going to happen as well.
But it also shows that, like, when they take that city, that like he says don't to show mercy to the people.
Yes.
That like he does have control over his army, because he said that like he didn't have
So
control.
it raises a really good question. What does it say about Henry that on the one hand, he's willing to commit atrocities, on the other hand, he's willing to show mercy?
He's a
Let's-
good king, because sometimes you have to like, or he's double-sided, because like, you have to be able to make hard decisions as a king, but you also have to be able to like, show your people mercy, and to know like, that those people are going to be his people, and so like, being able to strategize those things, he has to be a good king to be able to do things like that.
One of the major questions I want you to be able to answer out of this whole book is what makes a good king. Shakespeare clearly thinks he's a good king. You and I may not, or we may, but we need to know, how does Shakespeare present him? Not a perfect king or person, but a good king, and I think that's another one of those sort of contradictions you see. He's a nice guy, but he'll cut your throat off if he has to. Because he's a guy, he's a man with compassion, but he's a king, and he has to think about the country as a whole and the people as a whole. All right, this scene contrasts that scene. That was a scene where threatening atrocities and horrors of war. Now we suddenly have this silly, and no doubt it's a silly, somewhat humorous scene. It makes me wonder how many Englishmen know French, because it's written in French. So maybe the average Englishman could have understood this. But we have two people. We have Catherine and we have Alice. Catherine is the daughter of the king. I guess you'd say the Dauphin's sister.
The princess.
Alice, yes, and Alice is the what do they call her? Gentlewoman. She's the nanny. She's the governess. And so they're sitting around talking. We're going to read the English, which is on the left-hand side, although there are a few French words thrown in there. It's a short scene, but notice again that it contrasts with what we just heard. You should be making a list of those scenes that contrast. So far, every one has contrasted. With one, the next one, or the one prior to it. Here's another example of that. So,
This is
whenever,
a lot like Spanish.
okay, whenever you're ready, Catherine and Alice, you may begin.
Okay.
Now, wait a minute, they're not near Harfleur. They're in Paris. They're in the palace and the Louvre, the palace in Paris.
Alice, you are in England and you speak the language well.
A little, madam.
I beg you, teach me. I must learn to speak. What do you call Laman in English?
Laman. It is called the hen.
The hand and let's dog it.
Probably droit.
Les
like that.
droit. My faith. I forget. Les droit. But I will remember. Les droits. I think they are called the fingers. Yes, the fingers.
Laman, the hand, the dots, the fingers. I think I am a good student. I have quickly mastered 2 words of English. What do you call les
Anglais.
anglais?
Les anglais. We call them the nails.
The nails, listen. Tell me if I speak well. The hand, the fingers, and the nails.
That's well said, madam. It is very good English.
Wait a minute, is it really very good English?
Of course.
You're gonna tell the princess that it's
Yes.
not? No. You're not gonna tell her that it's not. Keep talking.
Tell me the English for le bras
The arm, madam.
and le clod.
The elbow.
The elbow. I repeat all the words that you have taught me so far.
It is too difficult, madam, I think.
Excuse me, Alice. Listen, the hand, the finger, the nails, the arm, the elbow.
The elbow, madam.
Oh Lord God, I forgot it. The elbow. What do you call la col?
The neck, madam.
The neck and la
That's
middle?
probably neck.
Yeah.
The chin.
The sin. La col, the neck, la menton, the sin.
Yes, saving your honor.
In truth, you pronounce the words as correctly as the natives of England.
Does she?
No.
No, but she's not gonna tell her otherwise.
I-
if you're getting paid,
I have no doubt about learning it by the grace of God in a little time.
Haven't you already forgotten what I have taught you?
No, I will recite promptly to you. The hand, the fingers, the mouth,
The nows, ma'am.
the nails, the arm, the elbow.
With all due respect, the elbow.
That's what I said. The elbow, the neck, the sin. What do you call le pied and la robe?
Le foot, madam, and le count.
Le foot and le count. Oh Lord God, they are ill-sounding words, corrupt, foul, and lewd, and they are not for ladies of honor to use. I would not pronounce these words in front of the Lord of France for the whole world. Foo, le foot and le count. Nevertheless, I will recite one more time the whole of my lesson. Oh gosh. The hand, the finger, the nails, the arm, the elbow, the neck, the sin, the foot, the count.
Excellent, madam.
That is enough for one time. Let's go to dinner.
All right, so,
Wow.
in what ways does this scene contrast with the scene we just had with
It's
this?
so petty and
Random.
just like they're talking about learning what like the hand and the arm is while they're like, well, and the other scene like Henry's talking about like killing children and
Yes.
babies and wives.
And I don't know if you could hear Owen, I heard Owen, say it again?
It's funny,
And
the first one is serious.
Yes, that's another way. And as you were suggesting that too, but that's another way it's different. It's that comic relief. What does this tell you about the future queen of France?
a little bit dumb.
She's
Yeah.
a little, not the brightest, but also not the maturest. She's just a child. She's just a young girl. She's gonna be married to Henry? No, Henry's kind of a child too, you know? He was, but
But he does have control.
it would be an odd couple for sure. And what does she know about war?
Not.
But, no, she said, oh, those are ill-sounding words. I would never say them in front of people while people are getting shot and killed and all this stuff. So she's very much, what would you call it?
Ignorant.
Aware.
She is ignorant, but what do you call it when people, what's the word I'm thinking of?
Honorary?
When like a parent might do something for their kid, keep them away from stuff.
Like sheltering.
Shelter, that's the word, yeah. She's extremely sheltered. She doesn't know the way of the world. She doesn't know Henry, doesn't know war. Do you think that marriage is gonna turn out? I don't know if it does or not, but it don't produce a very good king. But that's another book altogether.
Other child is not very smart.
Well, he's not very successful. He's in Henry VI. He loses everything Henry gains.
Oh.
You gotta blame him for some of that. I've never read it, so I don't know what kind of person he is presented as. All right, so we go back to we're still in France, but we go from that scene to the,
Can I be Brittany?
well, let's see. Who's king of France?
Take.
Who's king of France?
Take.
No, I'm England.
Yeah, they need a France king, French king.
Who wants to be the king of France?
Tim.
Neil.
You want to be the king of France?
Hey,
All right,
I was king of
who's,
France.
well, that's what I've been asking.
Oh,
I say, who's king of France? Who's king of France?
Sorry.
All right, what about the constable? Who's the
Me.
constable? All right.
No.
Who's Brittany? You want to be Brittany?
Brittany.
I can be
It's not a girl.
Oh.
I can be
It's
const.
not? You know,
No, you can't be everything.
I still want to be Brittany.
You're the Dauphin, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, who's the constable? Brittany, constable, France, king, Dauphin. I think we can get through
I'm
this.
Dauphin, right?
No, she's Dauphin. You're constable. I'm king of France.
Okay, constant.
Yeah. You're constable.
All right,
You.
we have time for just this one more scene. So, France.
Okay.
Brittany.
Tis certain he hath passed the river stone.
Oh, and he be not fought withal, my lord. Let us not live in France. Let us quit all and give our vineyard to a barbarous people.
Oh, Deo Vivant shall a few sprays of us, the emptying of our father's luxury, our scions put in wild and savage stock, spur up so suddenly into the clouds and overlook their grafters?
Normans, but bastard Normans, bastard. Mort de mauvais, if they march along unstout withal. But I will sell my dukedom to buy a, what does that say, slobbery, and a dirty farm in that nook shitten isle of Albion.
Okay, let's go back to the Dauphin there. This is question we're kind of skipping some, but we'll eventually get them. 38, turn to 38. All right, he uses a metaphor. It's a common one in this book. It'll be the second time, and you'll see it again. He says, the Dauphin, shall a few sprays of us, the emptying of our father's luxury, our scions put in wild and savage stock, spurred up so suddenly into the clouds and overlook their grafters. So circle sprays, circle scions, circle stock, spurt up, you could probably circle that, and grafters. All these refer to gardening. So they're gardening images, and they're talking about the fact that many of the English are related to, we already know that, because Henry is related to the French, because the Normans in 1066 invaded England. It's the last successful foreign invasion of England. 1066, that's over 1,000 years ago. They invaded them, and that's where Middle English begins to develop. And so the Normans produced these men that now are called Englishmen. And there were Saxons there too. Those were from Germany, and the Normans were from England. So they developed these Englishmen. But they used the gardening imagery of plants growing up and so forth. So we'll go back to the constable, I think, here.
All right. The Dayu, the Bacteres, would have they this metal, is not their climate foggy, raw and dull, on whom as in despite the sun looks pale, killing their fruit with frows, in sodden water, a drench for a sure rain days, their barely broth, decoat their cold blood to such valiant heat, and shall our quick blood spirited with wine sing frosty, oh for honor of our land, let us not hang like roping icicles upon our house, that whiles a more frosty people, sweat drops of gallant youth in our rich fields, or we may call them in their native lords.
Okay, before we go on, the constable Brittany is kind of insulting the English. You know, he's the B word there, and so forth. But the constable is praising. You see, where do they get this metal? Metal means courage or intestinal fortitude, whatever. And he says it's not their climate foggy, raw, and dull, on whom in spite the sun looks pale. So it's their living conditions. And it is rainy in England, and it is colder. It didn't snow a lot. It's an island, but they do get snow. But it rains a lot, kind of chilly. Think about how north they are, latitude wise. He said that's where they get it. They're tough people. That's why we can't beat them, is what he's suggesting. We keep trying to, and they keep beating us. But he doesn't say that. Dauphin.
By faith and honor our madams mock at us and plainly say our metal is bred out, and they will give their bodies to the lust of English youth, to the new store of France with bastard warriors.
Okay, he doesn't like the English, so he's not so complimentary, remember, Dauphin. But Brittany isn't either. Brittany.
Oh. They bid us to the English dancing schools and teach La Voltas High and Swift Corantos, saying our grace is only in our heels, and that we are most lawfully led away.
Where is Montjoy, the herald?
Circle his name. You recognize that?
Herald
That
of
name?
Montjoy.
Yeah, but you recognize the name from some other
That's
book?
from Song of Old.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Speed him hence. Let him greet England with our sharp defiance, more sharper than your swords. high to the field. Charles Gillibrand.
Yeah, there are a lot of names here. You can do the best you can with them.
Okay. High Constable of France, Duke of Orleans, Bourbon and Berry, Alencia, Brabant, Bar, and Burgundy.
Jacques
Jacques,
or Jacques. Chatillon.
Rambouillet,
Rambouillet.
Beaumont, Grand Prairie, Lucy, and Falconbridge,
Okay, I'm sorry, it sounds like people are leaving. Let me just double check. I think we'll probably have to.
Oh yeah, it's time to go.
And that clock is slow.
Yeah. All right, so we'll just redo that tomorrow. We have 25 minutes tomorrow. We'll make the best of it. See you later. Anna Grace. Yeah, see you later, Jim. All right, yep. You feeling all right today?